As Christopher Daniels, we've seen him every month since, was it All-Star Weekend, or was he defending it before?
No, All-Star Weekend.
Every month since All-Star Weekend, put the title on the line, and as you can see, the belt's still around his waist, successfully defending it. But boy, does he have his work cut out for him tonight as he faces Chris Sabin, a young up-and-comer from Detroit, Michigan, actually, my hometown. And if anybody is prepared to take the X Division title around from the waist of Christopher Daniels, it is Christopher Sabin.
That's right. And these two have met many times before.
Many times in TNA wrestling. I believe Sabin, and actually I know Sabin has already held the X Division title, and would like to have the prestige of having that belt around his waist, as well as the added perks and trips to the pay window that come with being X Division champion.
Can you imagine what you can buy? I mean, if the money just rolls in.
Now, say you have to fill up your car with a tank of gas, and you walk into the gas station with the X Division title and you're rest. Do you think anybody's paying for gas? It's on the house from pumps 1 through 9. Pump 10, you're SOL. But pumps 1 through 9, X Division champion's paying for it.
You may want to put some gas in your pockets.
That's right.
You know, because it's all free.
Find some paper bags because it's Christopher Daniels, and it's not even that Christopher Daniels is paying for it. The prestige of the belt, an intangible substance, is paying for it. Somehow, it's just filling up the cash registers of people at Snowfall.
It's as if, like they say that if you have a credit card, it's not actually like you can take money and you can see money. But like credit, it's like you could have $5,000. I could give you credit right now, $10,000. I don't see any $10,000, but it's there.
Are you giving me a $10,000 credit?
No,
okay.
I'm not.
Because you know about my spending habits.
That's right.
When I get busy at the dog track.
Your credit is terrible.
That's right. And but so you're saying that basically the X Division title functions as an unlimited gold card that never needs to be paid off.
Imagine if you could take that X Division title and give it to a poor country. Just the soft money alone that it would generate.
You could turn around a country like that. The crop rotations of Somalia, I guarantee within 2 weeks, you could feed the entire nation.
It's untold. We can feed the world with the X Division title.
That's true. And actually, not many people know this because only the champions and those that are walking away with the belt to use it for purchasing plasma TVs and high definition setups know that there's a magnetic strip on the back of the X Division title that allows you to slide the entire thing through a credit card reader.
That's an amazing. Wow.
TNA is the first company to do that.
And whoa.
Oh, Christopher Daniels receiving.
He's gone.
He's gone, but he's receiving an unflattering.
He's gone to Yoshinoya for the night. That's the Division title.
But he's receiving an unflattering pussy chant from the crowd, and that's maybe the first time Christopher Daniels was on the receiving end of a less than warm reaction from the PWG fans here in the Boston Garden.
And we actually saw it when Christopher Daniels in the hour match.
That's true, but he still had a degree of begrudging respect from the fans. They appreciated his ability, they appreciated what he was doing, but now I believe the fans turning on Christopher Daniels when it looks like he's abandoning them. So basically, the fans just care about themselves.
That's right. They're very selfish in that respect.
A lot of them
like to eat. A lot of them like, oh, I need to eat. I need medicine. I'm sick.
I'll tell you what they don't like.
What's that?
Showering.
No, it's one thing that they just will not do. That's where they draw the line.
That's true. And Chris Sabin drawing the line on Christopher Daniels. We've said it before in the past, but I believe it's high time we call some moves in this match.
Okay.
But to be fair, we only went about 7 minutes without calling a move.
Yeah.
So
we called Christopher Daniels coming back to the ring.
But 3 of those minutes were introductions.
That's right.
So 4 minutes of action. As Chris Sabin rings through the arm of Christopher Daniels and a boot to the shoulder. What's this part of your laces?
The instep.
No. It's not the face. It's
the tongue.
The tongue. The tongue of his boot driven into the shoulder of Christopher Daniels 5 minutes ago. As Chris Sabin in that time period, got a Hail Sabin chant, and Christopher Daniels went to the ropes and broke up.
This is like Scattergold.
Yeah.
It's like
It's almost like charades.
we should play Pictionary and have everybody at home play along.
We should get telestrated.
Oh, would that be amazing? And then I could draw pictures to you, and then you could look at them, and no one else could look
Chip, how about a telestrator?
Chip?
It would really, really benefit us here in the studio, and I think it would benefit the fans at home. Because right now, couldn't you imagine me drawing a circle around that hammerlocked arm of Christopher Daniels, and then drawing another circle around the jaw of Chris Sabin as Christopher Daniels fires in with those shots, and the headbutt. Daniels may be a little worse for wear after that headbutt, but not showing any ill effects as he tries to go to body slam. But Chris Sabin reverses, goes up and over, boot to the midsection. Christopher Daniels reverses, tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, but Sabin lands on his feet, and now shots to the midsection again, going for the Shelton Benjamin kick that we. And now Christopher Daniels swinging for the fences, and Chris Sabin kicking. I'm sure it's not called the Shelton Benjamin kick. We'll call it the rebound kick.
I love it.
Because it's much like Chris Sabin doing a bit of high stepping of his own, and Christopher Daniels looking very frustrated, and now a Pescado over the top, but Sabin puts on the brakes, and Daniels also puts on the brakes the hard way. That's like the emergency brake going 60 for Chris Sabin.
That's right.
And now Christopher Daniels perhaps going for the quebrada.
He gets one of his own, like a face full of magic of his own.
And you know what, Disco Machine, hitting your face on the turnbuckle in the center of the ring is painful enough, but hitting it on the ring apron is even worse because there's those steel supports that run around the frame of the ring, and so basically you're getting your face driven into a steel bar.
That's right.
And now Sabin goes over the back of Christopher Daniels, takes him down with a beautifully applied arm drag, hangs onto it into the arm bar, going to work on that shoulder of Christopher Daniels that we saw him go to work on earlier with the tongue of his boot.
See, we bring it right around.
That's right. People accuse us of being unprofessional. Oh, Chris Sabin slamming Daniels' arm down to the mat as he rings it through, and now just no pretense, just slamming it down even harder, and again slamming it down. And Christopher Daniels is in a very, very bad situation. Disco Machine, he opted out of defending his X Division title on the second night of the PWG second anniversary. But it seems that he should be worrying about retaining his title on the first night of PWG's anniversary show.
Right. You have to do one before the other.
That's true. And for those that don't know, Christopher Daniels will be meeting AJ Styles and James Gibson tomorrow night for a shot at the PWG Championship, supposing that AJ Styles walks away with the championship when he faces his mystery opponent tonight. We still don't know who it is. Rolling soul butt from Chris Sabin just hits Christopher Daniels in the midsection, full force. Daniels reverses the swinging DDT attempt and just hip tosses Sabin over the top rope into the lap of the fans at ringside. And there's one guy with his arms folded, just unimpressed.
Yeah, he can't be bothered.
Chris Sabin just risking life and limb, and Christopher Daniels forcing Chris Sabin to risk life and limb.
Right.
And now Sabin is out on the floor after just hitting the gymnasium floor pretty hard, and now hitting his face on the seat of the chair even harder. And Christopher Daniels slides into the ring to break up the 20 count from referee Marty Rubacabra. And now Daniels, he's got Sabin by the hair, again slamming him face first into the chair. You can see the two women in the building at ringside moving out of the way as, and Disco Machine, I believe those were the women that you were dancing for earlier.
They were enjoying it.
And you know what? I believe their boyfriends had some words for you in the parking lot.
I heard them. I heard them over saying, "Disco's butt drives me nuts."
That's all that's got to be said. And all that's got to be said is Christopher Daniels actually tripping over the bottom rope, maybe wishing that the bottom rope was removed as he puts his boot to the chest of Chris Sabin. Now Daniels may be a bit flustered, not expecting so much of a challenge from Chris Sabin, and we saw him resort to some underhanded tactics on the outside, and now perhaps a bit flustered, taking his focus off the task at hand, drawing with the fans as he puts his forearm across the bridge of Chris Sabin's nose, and only a 2 count from Marty Rubacabra. PWG's second banana, as it were, in terms of officiating. And a flying mare by Christopher Daniels as he hooks the arm and reaches around, grabbing the chin, maybe trying to remove the chin strap that holds on Chris Sabin's head of hair. We saw actually Austin Aries was maybe the first competitor in PWG to use the
employ the chin strap.
The helmet of hair. I was going to say.
Gotcha.
But the chin strap very vital in keeping the helmet of hair affixed to the head. But
you can't have one without the other.
That's right. Christopher Daniels knows this and could be playing at a disadvantage because, as you can see, he has nothing on top. But Christopher Daniels holding on to the helmet of hair, slamming Sabin down to the mat.
That is a wicked maneuver. And, we used to say that American Dragon, a great competitor, but when he had a mean streak, you didn't want to be near him. And that's the way that Christopher Daniels is. He's taking that mean streak and he's really doing something with it.
Oh! Almost trying to break the neck of Chris Sabin. You can see, I can't compare and contrast the two, but I would be inclined to say that Christopher Daniels' mean streak is a bit more savage than American Dragon's at this point. American Dragon just fighting for honor. Christopher Daniels fighting to retain the X Division Championship and all the luxuries that it affords him. He drives a gold-plated Cadillac.
He does?
Gold-plated with solid gold tires.
Wow.
Can't stop worth a shit, but they're solid gold tires nonetheless. And now we see with that submission hold applied again to Chris Sabin. He's got the arm hooked, he's got the jaw cranked to the side, and Christopher Daniels just...
The crowd getting right behind Sabin though.
They want to see him hit that cradle shot and walk out of the evening with the X Division Championship. And Chris Sabin firing in elbows to the midsection of Christopher Daniels, running off the ropes. Daniels didn't get a handful of hair that time, but he did get sunset flip, but he kicks out at 2, goes for the clothesline. Sabin counters with a chop to the chest, throws Daniels to the ropes, back body drop sends Daniels up and over the top. Chris Sabin clothesline taking Daniels off of his feet, and now runs up to the middle rope, catches him in his going for a swing DDT, Death Valley driver. Beautiful counter by Christopher Daniels, and now hooks the leg. 2 count is Chris Sabin able to kick out after Christopher Daniels countered the cross-body attempt into a fireman carry and then subsequently a Death Valley driver. Christopher Daniels, he definitely does have the experience edge on Chris Sabin. Daniels with 12, 15 years of experience at this point in his life.
But he's losing his focus right here.
And the fans are really getting on the nerves of Christopher Daniels, but Sabin not able to make any sort of comeback thus far as Christopher Daniels puts his arm across the throat of Chris Sabin and drives him down to the mat. 2 count again, says Marty Rubacabra, and Daniels, you can see the look on his face, maybe a bit of calculations going on, trying to think what it'll take to put out Chris Sabin, whether it'll be the Angel's Wings, the best moonsault ever, the last rights, it could be any one of those moves. But Chris Sabin, if he has it his way, it won't be anything. It'll be the cradle shot or nothing as Christopher Daniels, Uranage, and this is it, the setup to the best moonsault ever. Now pulling him about 6 inches closer. Christopher Daniels, always a perfectionist, best moonsault ever, comes up with nothing. Nobody home as Chris Sabin able to roll out of the way. Sabin obviously doing his homework, but you can see clutching the back of his head that was worked on so viciously earlier in the match by Christopher Daniels.
And both men very, very slow to get up. Chris Sabin looked like he may have got things together. Yes, he does. But no, Christopher Daniels is the first one up.
But Sabin awaiting the attack from Daniels, firing in those shots to the midsection in the face of Christopher Daniels. Daniels looking a bit woozy as Sabin throws him to the ropes. I take that back as Daniels has the presence of mind to reverse. Manhattan drop from Chris Sabin. A jawbreaker, a shot to the midsection. Now Sabin going off the ropes and a drop kick to the side of the head. Chris Sabin is the fans firmly behind him. They want to see him take the belt off the waist of Christopher Daniels, and he looks like he's in prime position to do so as he fires in with those chops to the chest of Christopher Daniels. Now Daniels reverses Sabin to the corner, goes for a wild swing, but Sabin saw it coming from a mile away, reverses, and now firing in with 3 shots to the chest of Daniels. Again reversing out from under Daniels, more shots to the chest of Daniels.
9 at
Now,
this point.
Daniels just slumping down, and Chris Sabin putting the boots to the...
Put a mud hole in him.
That's right, a Texas mud hole, or in Sabin's case, a Metro Detroit area mud hole.
Which is filthy.
Indeed it is. And they do get quite a bit more rain than Texas, so it's much more likely there's a mud hole there. As Chris Sabin uses the ropes like a ladder for that swing DDT, only getting a 2 count for Christopher Daniels. You can see Christopher Daniels, his eyes are closed and he's just blubbering, trying to regain his composure after Chris Sabin drove Daniels' head into the mat with that swing DDT.
Unbelievable action here.
Daniels taking the shortcut disco machine, the thumb to the eyes.
And Sabin is whipped into the corner, but he gets out of there. Spins him around.
Oh! We saw it before. He hit the rebound kick. Daniels expected it again, but instead Sabin faked it and hit the enziguri. Now, running Liger bomb. He's got him hooked. 2 count as Christopher Daniels miraculously able to kick out and retain his X Division championship, if just for a brief moment in time. Chris Sabin in control of this match after the running Liger bomb, after the enziguri, after the chops to the chest. Chris Sabin, we haven't seen him sustain this much offense thus far in the match, and it looks to be proving very effective for him, as Christopher Daniels, you can see, just slumping against the ropes. No energy, but reversing out, and Sabin reverses out. He's got him hooked up for the cradle shot, but but Marty Rubicabra bumps heads with Chris Sabin. Daniels rolls through, he got a handful of tights, and that's it. Christopher Daniels with a handful of tights retains the X Division championship, walks over and takes his belt, and he goes home.
Wow.
Christopher Daniels, unsportsmanlike conduct, but in the end it gets the job done, and Christopher Daniels lives to fight another day with the X Division championship around his waist.